If you want to know the secrets of existence and the true meaning of life, I can't help you. But if you want some book recommendations, why not try reading the ones I wrote? If you're a fan of giant monster mayhem and anime weirdness, why not try Operation Red Dragon: The Kaiju Wars Part 1? If horror is more your style, you can't go wrong with The Occult Mafia. Those who enjoy their fantasy with a dark twist may be interested in Emerald of Maddox City. And if you're interested in shared universes, why not read all three? Hop on down to the description for links to all 3 books on Amazon. Enjoy whichever ones you read, and enjoy the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and yes, I'm doing another one of these unscripted, very cheaply edited videos. Believe me, I do not want to keep doing these, but I'm just on the verge of getting my technology issues sorted out, I hope. And once I get that all figured out, I'll get back to the scripted stuff with slightly better editing. But for now, I'm just doing another one of these because there has been another update regarding Godzilla Singular Point. And it's one that just has me confused. You may recall that recently I did a video about this creature, which most of us thought was Titanosaurus, but which actually turned out to be a creature called Godzilla aquatilus. At the time, it seemed completely anomalous, and people were speculating, as well as myself, about why this change could have been. Maybe it was a rights issue because there's an actual creature called Titanosaurus that Toho might not be able to trademark it anymore because of that, or maybe it was just an oversight or something. We weren't entirely sure. But more news has come forward since then. Godzilla aquatilus is not the only familiar-looking kaiju to get a new name in Godzilla Singular Point. I'll just run down the list of what those name changes are. One of them actually doesn't count, but I'm going to include it at first and explain it later. But for now, let's just go down the list. For starters, the creature which resembles Hedorah is being called Hanega. The creature resembling Gabara is now called Salunga. The creature that resembles Kumonga is now Kumanga, which when romanized means the O in the middle of the name was changed to another A. And Rodan is being called Radon. And that last one is the one that I said doesn't actually count. I've seen a couple of videos looking at this and going, why are they calling Rodan Radon? Well, that's because Rodan is Radon. I'm not sure how people have forgotten this, but in Japan, Radon is the character's actual name. They took the 2nd and 4th syllables from Pteranodon and squashed them together to make the name Radon. The reason it was changed to Rodan internationally is because at the time it was imported at least, Radon was also the name of a British soap company, I believe, and they didn't want to have any legal troubles with that company, so they transposed the O and the A and switched Radon to Rodan. That's how it works. So the reason Rodan is being called Radon in Singular Point is because Rodan has always been Radon in Japan. His official international name is still Rodan, but Radon is the original name. So on the list of name changes, that's the one that isn't actually an issue. So don't panic about that. That is still technically the original name. It of course remains to be seen if they'll retain Radon or switch it to Rodan once the series is officially translated for Netflix. There is precedent for an official English translation using Radon in the past. Specifically Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, the 1993 version. The English dub for some reason used Radon instead of Rodan. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So either way, don't freak out about that. It's no big deal. The rest of those names, though, that's confusing. The confusing part, though, isn't so much that the names have been changed, but rather that the name changes seem to be completely random. After all, you have a creature that obviously has Hedorah's head now being called Hanega, and a creature with Gabara's features now being called Salunga, yet the creature that kinda looks like Manda is still Manda, the creature that looks kinda like Anguirus is still Anguirus, and the creature that looks like a regular pterodactyl is still Rodan, only they're calling him Radon at this point because, as mentioned, that's what his name actually is in Japan. So why are some of the names changed, but some of them aren't? That is what's throwing people. And it's also created this weird subculture amongst the Godzilla fandom of people who are trying to act superior for never actually thinking these were redesigned classic monsters. Occasionally you'll see people saying, well, of course these aren't classic monsters. Why would you even think that? If Godzilla Aquatilus was colored, say, purple with orange spots instead of red with a yellow underbelly, no one would have ever thought it was Titanosaurus. I disagree with that sentiment, however. You can look at this thing and yes, you can see that there's very little resemblance to the original Titanosaurus in terms of body, but there are certain features on the head that are recognizable as Titanosaurus, and also the fan display on the tail, which is used for swimming, very reminiscent of Titanosaurus, even though it's just a tiny bit different. Those would still be present even if the color was altered to something else. And also, that sort of explanation doesn't really sit when you get to Hanega, who clearly has Hedorah's head, even though he's got tentacles coming out of it. It makes perfect sense that someone would look at that and think, yeah, that's a redesigned Hedorah, because it is literally the exact same cranium. Like I said, people were speculating with the whole Godzilla Aquatilus thing that maybe it's some sort of rights issue. If it is a rights issue, then there is no rhyme or reason to it, because some of these monsters have been around for longer than Titanosaurus, and yet they haven't had their names changed. Anguirus is still Anguirus, Manda is still Manda, Jet Jaguar is still Jet Jaguar, but what appears to be Titanosaurus isn't Titanosaurus, what appears to be Hedorah isn't Hedorah, and what appears to be Gabara isn't Gabara. The whole Kumanga thing, you can sort of rationalize in that maybe it's actually a combination of Kumonga and Kamacuras and Megalon, perhaps? So it could technically count as a new monster? But what about all those other guys? That is what's confusing people, and honestly, I think it's kind of a cheap shot to look at them and say, well, serves you right for thinking that they were classic monsters. I certainly never thought that. I mean, heck, I could stand here and say that I was usually quick to cover my own backside and say maybe they're new monsters, but I'm not getting in your face about it, am I? Instead, I'm with everyone who's wondering what the heck is going on with this production. I'm not so sure this is a rights issue anymore because it doesn't make sense. And, well, I'm just baffled. I really don't know what to make of Godzilla Singular Point anymore. As an anime series, it still potentially looks good. Heaven knows it looks much better than the Polygon trilogy. But as an entry in the Godzilla series, it feels kinda wonky. It feels like there's something going on, and we just don't know it, but it's having this weird effect. Even if there's a possibility that these are new creatures and their similarities to older kaiju are meant to as homage or fan service or something, it still doesn't make sense that that would only be the case for some of them while others retain their names even with the drastic redesigns. So I have no clue at this point. Godzilla Singular Point has completely lost me. I do not know what to expect anymore, other than an anime series with kaiju in it. And what that's gonna bring, I have no clue. I mean, I'm still gonna check it out, I'm still gonna share my thoughts on it as I watch it, but something screwy is going on, and I just don't know what it is. And that bugs me. And clearly it's bugging a lot of people. In the meantime, though, let's not make this a point of contention. Don't be a jerk and make someone feel inferior for being confused that something which looks like a familiar creature actually turns out to not be a familiar creature. Especially if, behind the scenes, it actually was meant to be a familiar creature. But again, we have no idea. All we can do is wait for more information to come out and hope that it makes sense. I'll be keeping my eyes open, and hopefully that information comes soon. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.
If you enjoyed what you just saw, hop on down to the description for links to Patreon, DeviantArt, and all of our social media, as well as links for Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, The Occult Mafia, and Emerald of Maddox City, 3 original novels I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.